Cheers.
Good evening, everybody. Oh, I haven't even opened mine.
How dare. But cheers. I'm drinking.
Cheers. Hope everybody's doing well and has had a good last couple of weeks. We've had a good last couple of weeks.
We did. We had a wonderful time at Warriors in Bloom, the Renaissance Fair that took place in H-Draft Hall.
Yep.
So that was fantastic.
Run by Virago Alley and the Richmond Renaissance Fair.
Yes. So keep follow them on all the socials and keep looking for updates for their next event.
Yep. They're gaining some momentum on that. So looking forward to what they have next and looking forward to being a part of it. Hopefully we can keep going on to those events.
Yes.
And if you were there and you came to see us, thank you very much. It was good to see y'all.
It was wonderful. But tonight we're actually going to dive right in and talk about Southampton, England. For those of you that are up on your Titanic, yes, this is where Titanic left from before they sailed over to Cork, or Cove, actually. And then from Cove, they took that faithful next portion of the journey.
Very faithful.
Very faithful.
Yes.
But we're going to talk about the town first.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we won't be talking about Titanic too much tonight.
No, I mean, we mentioned it with Halifax.
Yeah, we talked about it in some more detail in our Haunted Halifax episode, which was last 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, because then 2 weeks before that was the Nova Scotia episode. But anyways, Haunted Southampton. Now, Southampton, kind of a city, a little bit overlooked, if you will, as far as in the grand scheme of things, because it does have its much more famous neighbor, only about an hour and a half away, London. And we have talked about London before.
Yes,
we did a whole episode on haunted London transportation because, oh my God, their underground stations are haunted
as you know.
It's all get out. But
yes, and that was Vincent that just popped his head over real quick.
But yeah, Southampton has plenty of hauntings in its own right, hence the why it's going to go ahead and get its own standalone episode here this evening. And
say hello, Nico.
Yeah, we'll looking for words.
It's Monday.
It is Monday.
It's a very Monday.
It was a very Monday. But we are going to start with I let my screen go to sleep.
Yes, you did. So we're gonna first of all, let's talk about the fact that there are medieval walls in this town.
Yep, it's the longest. It has the longest stretch of medieval walls in all of England, which
is fun.
Was quite fascinating, completely unexpected when we were there last time.
Yeah, it's like we were looking for some place to eat, and we literally walked up to the shopping center, and there's the medieval wall, and we're like pausing on that dinner thought, we're going to follow this. And we did. We walked for quite a while just looking at the old ruins. Including a church that was bombed out during World War II. It's just a fascinating place. And then when we got back to where we first found the medieval wall and the city center so we could actually get dinner there, they were actually having their Eurovision party right out there projecting on the wall, which was amazing.
Yep, they really got into their Eurovision. Even though I think England has not had the most sensational success with Eurovision.
No, I mean, England was hosting that year because Ukraine could not due to the war.
Yeah.
That's part of the reason why it was such a huge party, because England was hosting.
But yeah, those walls woven right into the city fabric, which really kind of, I think, helps lend to the spooky atmosphere that it has there.
They have seen a lot of things. So we're going to dive right in and actually go visit the local theater, because that's what we do. By the way, you can have tea at this local theater before you go to a show. Unfortunately, they were not having a show when we were there, nor are they going to have a show while we're there later this month. I looked. All right, so the Mayflower Theatre in the heart of Southampton is a place for the town to go catch the grand theatrical productions, one-off comedy shows, and of course musical events. With a capacity of 2,300 people, it's the largest theatre in the south of England outside of London, ensuring that there's room enough in this grand space for everyone and anyone to get in to see what they want to see alongside some of the spirits that are lingering there from yesteryear. The theater opened on December 22nd of 1928 as the Empire Theater, part of the Moss Empire Theater Group. In the early days, many shows were transported by train. The theater's proximity to Southampton Central Railway Station made its location ideal, but it meant that many shows were not as spectacular as their London counterparts. The theater suffered in the early days mainly due to the arrival of the cinema and sound, and this led to a 1933 installation of a projection box in the balcony and a screen which could be raised and lowered in front of the stage. By 1942, the theater was mainly used as a cinema. They still hosted many famous musical acts here, but sales declined further with the advent of television, and the owners considered turning it into a bowling alley.
Boo. I mean, I like bowling alleys. They're fine, but
don't destroy a theater for a bowling alley.
No.
Sorry, no.
Or you just include the bowling alley alongside the theater, like Altria had back in the day.
Yes. Now, they also considered turning it into a dance hall and a bingo hall.
No.
Incorporate. Don't destroy. Anyway, but in 1983, Southampton City Council stepped in with other ideas. They finalized the purchase of the property in 1986, and it was renamed the Mayflower Theater. It reopened its doors in February of 1987, managed by the newly founded Mayflower Theater Trust. All money generated from ticket sales is invested back into the theater, supporting the community through education in the arts and maintaining the historic building for future generations.
Yay!
Now, according to the Post, on the Southampton Reddit page concerning ghosts and urban legends in the city, the Mayflower Theater is reportedly quite haunted. Various posts refer to a spirit that the current theater employees call Fred. Fred is believed to be the spirit of someone who worked on the initial construction of the building, fell from the balcony tier all the way down into the stalls below, and the staff is reported seeing Fred up on the balcony after shows have finished and when they're cleaning. Others have been backstage and encountered a ghost of an old man sitting in a wicker chair, perhaps a stagehand taking a breather or an actor waiting for his cue. No matter who these lingering souls are, their constant vigil puts the Mayflower Theater near the top of locals' minds when it comes to haunted places in Southampton. And as I said, tea before your show, nothing better than that.
Yeah.
Seriously need to go when there's a show and I can have tea.
Tea in England, no less. I mean,
proper tea.
Yeah.
Proper.
So
that's all I gotta say. I'm a tea fan, by the way, if you haven't figured that out.
So, Patrick, a little off topic, but on topic with our previous chatter of the Warriors in Bloom event, mentioned the next time you're in Stanton, a couple hours out to the west, has a medieval fantasy shop there called, Medieval Fantasies. So, if you like the medieval stuff.
It's been a while since we've been to Stanton.
It's been a long time since we've been there. We are overdue because we need to go
to their ghost tour.
Yes, we need to go visit our friends at the Ghosts of Stanton.
Yes.
So, which if you do go out to Stanton and you want to take a ghost tour, look up Ghosts of Stanton.
Yes.
Unpaid promotion.
Good friends.
Good friends of ours. But yes, Mr. Nico is so happy to be here tonight, and he stands out so well against the white background. He's loving it. He is loving it.
Got to be the star of the show while putting his tail in his mother's face.
Yeah.
And whacking me with it.
All right. Moving on from theaters, we are going to head just a little bit to the south in town, toward the harbor, and situated on High Street, we have the one-time Mercure Southampton Center Dolphin Hotel. It was a 4-star hotel that boasted 6 supernatural entities sure to make your skin crawl. Now, reference to the Dolphin Hotel can be found in documents dating back as far as 1454.
It's been around a while.
Yeah. Yep, unfortunately, now that said...
it's no longer a hotel.
Right. But anyway, so some parts of the hotel are actually believed to be even much older than that, with remnants of medieval timbers and stone vaulting being evident in the building. Throughout its history as a coaching inn, the Dolphin Hotel has played host to several historically significant people. Queen Victoria and Admiral Lord Nelson were frequent guests, and Jane Austen, author of Pride and Prejudice, among other titles, celebrated her 18th birthday in the hotel's ballroom. From 1750 to 1820, Southampton was a well-known spa town, and the Dolphin Hotel was a popular social center. Unfortunately, a deep and distinguished lineage has not been enough to save this historic site as a hotel. In recent years, the hotel was on the decline, and the decision was made to shut its doors. In the last year, after vigorous debate, that's putting it politely, a plan was approved to renovate the hotel into student housing, a move that authorities ensure will maintain the historic appearance of the building, if not its historic use. For our part, we will be curious to see if the hotel spirits decide to stick around once the students start to move in.
And at least it wasn't torn down.
Yes, at least it wasn't torn down. So, yes. So, as a hotel, the Dolphins, guests, and staff made numerous reports of coming face to face with the ghosts said to haunt the historic location. Reports that would make even the most hardened skeptic pause and take notice. The hotel's most active ghost was the apparition of a young chambermaid named Molly. The story goes that Molly killed herself after her affections were spurned by a cruel young man she fell in love with. Molly has been witnessed wandering the halls of the hotel with a strange feature to her ghost. Molly's legs appear to be stuck below the floor level, leading many to believe she is nothing more than a psychic imprint left in the environment at a time when the floor was much lower.
Now, we have talked about this before in one of the libraries in Oxford.
Yep, exactly. Where people downstairs, actually the floor level changed so much, people say they see their feet coming down from the ceiling.
Yeah.
And then people in the hallway see that
from the knees up.
So.
Yeah.
So yeah, not a
uncommon thing in England apparently.
When you change floor levels. So moving to the oldest parts of the hotel, we can find vaults in the lowest recesses that date back to the 12th century. In this rarely visited part of the building, the apparitions of an elderly man and a young boy have been glimpsed wandering in the shadows. Hotel staff believe the elderly man was a barrel man and the young boy his apprentice. Considering their style of clothes, some feel that these two ghosts were two people who died when the plague wiped out half the population of England. If you're brave enough to venture into the vaults, it's said that you will hear the voices of the barrel man and the boy and can watch as they go about their work. Back upstairs in the ballroom, the apparition of a large man in Georgian attire has been seen in the large bay window. Since at least 1750, people passing by the window have noticed that the spirit known as Beau appears to be sad and troubled. It's theorized that Beau may have died in the ballroom as he watched out the window waiting for the return of a loved one. On the first floor, the apparition of a woman in a gray dress has been spotted gliding silently through the bedrooms, seemingly unaware of her surroundings. However, as recently as 2004, that belief was abandoned when an employee reported seeing the gray lady as she played with the bow in her hair. Not all hauntings here are spectral in nature. A poltergeist seems to have taken up residence as well. Guests and staff alike have reported doors being slammed and wardrobes opening and closing on their own. That said, this entity seems to be more mischievous than threatening in its good-natured pranks. While we may not be able to visit here anymore, at least without returning to academia and student housing, which is never going to happen, we will be keeping our eyes and ears open for new haunting tales in the years ahead.
Yeah, Chris and I have no desire to become Dr. Houlihan.
Nope, nor to return to student housing.
No.
No. Even if it is in a historic medieval hotel or old ex-hotel, whatever.
I don't have the energy for it.
Nope, not happening. Anyways, what we do have the energy for...
Drinking.
Pub crawl.
Because it's pub crawl.
Cheers. Lots of haunted pubs in Southampton, as you might imagine.
We're going to do a pub crawl.
Yes.
Totally doing a pub crawl.
As we do.
As we do. All right, so our first one, we're going to go to the Red Lion pub. There's a lot of Red Lion pubs, by the way, in England.
Many, many. As a matter of fact, another one that we were going to talk about when it first opened, like 150 years ago, it was the Red Lion pub. Now it's named something else.
And then, rebranded.
But I think, it seems like Southampton may have had 2 Red Lion pubs at one time.
Which may have gotten confusing.
Just a smidge.
Anyway, we're going to talk about this one on High Street. It was built in the late 15th, early 16th century and is an example of late medieval hall house. It's a timbered frame front the timbered frame front. Yeah. Alliteration, is a 20th century addition. Below the hall is a half-timbered vault, probably from an earlier building, and it's known as the courtroom. It's alleged to be the site of the trial of the conspirators in the Southampton plot, a conspiracy to depose Henry V. Get my right, Henry. This appears to be a local legend. The trial took place in 1415, about 75 years before the foundation of this building, and there's no documentary evidence from 1415 that would locate it here. Probably was located in the castle, but local legend has moved it to this pub. In any case, the plotters were imprisoned in the castle, and it's unlikely they were ever moved down to the pub or to the inn for the actual trial, when the castle afforded plenty of room to host it up there. Then still in the centuries, the old pub has had plenty of history to fuel some hauntings. By some accounts, there are a total of 21 ghosts at this particular location, so enough to drink by American standards, a few extra by British standards. Staff and regulars repeatedly report seeing apparitions, feeling cold chills, hearing knocking and banging. The most notable ghost sightings have been a procession of 3 men leaving the pub. The apparitions are thought to be the 3 condemned men walking to the gallows. Another ghost regular is alleged to have been a former barmaid. The lady, who is only visible from above the knee, has been described as being in her 60s and having died falling down the stairs. According to Southern Ghost Society, a man named Michael Carstairs haunts the bar area after hanging himself from the gallery on April 4th of 1932. They also report 4 specters sitting around the fire enjoying a drink. The entity that has been named Bruce can be heard in the basement tromping around in his heavy boots, opening the cellar door and making a loud racket. The activity has led people to conduct many seances over the years with varying results. Electrical equipment is often switched off on its own. The whole place has a distinct ghostly feel, and if you're looking for some spirited activity, it's a good place to start on a haunted pub crawl. I will say we did pass this when we were actually going by the following the walls, and I went, I want to have a drink there, and we didn't have time to stop and have a drink. So we're going to make sure we have a point to do that this time, because the menu looks good too. Question.
Beverly's saying she's got to have tea in England.
I can recommend places.
Strongly recommend. I was going to say, so we did it in the British Museum.
We did, which was nice.
Which was very nice, but even that didn't quite hold a candle to the Museum of Scotland.
Oh, yes. Overlooking the Edinburgh Castle.
Is it the Museum of Scotland?
I think so.
In any case, it's in Edinburgh. And
yeah.
That was really good tea.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure there's many, many other glorious options as well. We have not...
I've had it at the Savoy, which is one of the pricier ones.
Yeah.
That was one big splurge I had when I was in college. But there are other wonderful tea-themed ones. There's quite a few Peter Pan-themed ones, which I would really love to do, or Paddington Bear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I have barely scratched the surface on
having tea.
On British tea, so yeah. I've done a lot of tea stateside. Mm-hmm. But my experience over there is a little limited.
Yeah, we do love having tea though.
Yep. Overseas period, the best one was at Ashford Castle.
Yes, that tea was amazing.
That's Ireland.
That's Ireland.
That's a completely different country.
Well, also, was it Galway we had tea in?
We did. There was a cute little tea house in Galway.
That we had tea in. That was lovely.
It was very lovely, yes.
So definitely must do when you go to Ireland, Scotland, England. Go have tea someplace.
Yes.
Have high tea. All right. Our next pub stop is the Duke of Wellington pub. It's just around the corner from where we were with the Red Lion. And it was built about 1220 by Benedict Ace, one of the earliest mayors of Southampton. It is one of the most historic buildings in town, and to this day, it contains actually the original cellar. Fast forward a few centuries, and the place still brings people from near and far for its food and drink and live music. The crowd typically is a mix of locals, partygoers, and cruise passengers wanting to sample some of Southampton's old town. Pardon. Showcasing more than 800 years of history, the pub walls could tell their fair share of tales. It is said that 3 ghosts roam the building. One of them is known as Bill. He's a fairly low-key character, content to settle into his corner of the restaurant, and has been known to mess with the lamp that is situated over there, turning it on and off, even when it's not plugged in. The medium that visited the pub claimed to see a little girl walking up and down the stairs. She may be the one who is responsible for the faint ringing sounds that the owner would hear while working on paperwork in his cellar office, as if somebody were tapping a bell. Unsettled at the sound, he tried turning on some music, and the ringing continued until he put on Harry Styles' Greatest Hits, at which point the ringing stopped. This raises questions. Is the spirit a Harry Styles fan? Well, or maybe they're just dripping away. We don't know.
So we like to think that the ghost must be a fan. I mean, come on. Even if Harry isn't necessarily your cup of tea, it's hard to think that he's so offensive that you would flee the premises.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. That said, we digress.
Yes. The Duke of Wellington certainly has its share of ghostly going-ons, from flickering lights to shadowy figures in the cellars, to inexplicable cold spots upstairs, and there's plenty to keep a paranormal enthusiast interested. Even if you're not there for the ghosts, there is one that reportedly goes around refilling people's glasses. It might make you think about giving the paranormal a little more respect. I mean, who can complain about a free drink?
Cheers to that.
Cheers. I'm getting my drink.
Oh, and Beverly said, cheers to cooler weather. Second.
Cheers. We can keep this weather. I'll be perfectly happy
This has
with
been
this.
glorious these last couple of days.
Oh.
And this week's looking pretty nice.
Yeah, up until about Saturday, I think is when we're supposed to get warm
again. But we'll take it in the meantime.
Although originally it was supposed to warm up on Wednesday, so we got a few extra days. So maybe we'll keep getting a few extra days.
Time will tell.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
Weather gods. Cheers.
We're not done with the haunted pubs. So our next stop it's a little bit of a hike to the north. Still doable. It's about a mile up the road. So if you're motivated to go ahead and get yourself a bevy.
I mean, work off the bevy you just had.
Exactly. And it's there that you can find the Talking Heads. It's another historic pub dating back about 150 years, and this is the one that used to be known as the Red Lion. It was renowned in Victorian times for its music and entertainment, a legacy which still continues to this day, but there are no records of the pub or building before that date. The pub has had many owners over the decades. Between 1878 and 1884, Ben Bunny, which is, I don't know, is that an awesome name or Ben Bunny?
Ben Bunny.
Ben Bunny. Anyways.
Just call him BB.
Discuss. Ben Bunny was the landlord of the pub. He was followed by Tom Higgins, who took over in 1899, and then Charles Burton took the reins just before the First World War in 1913. Next, Annie Burton became landlady from 1917 through 1921, but she was fined £2 in June of 1920 for selling liquor outside of permitted hours. Silly.
Yeah.
From the 1950s through the 1980s, the pub calendar was regularly full of bands playing sessions. With so much energy and history, few are surprised to learn that the Talking Heads has a haunted heritage. These strange disturbances include the owner of the pub reporting that he had been slapped when there was no one there by a mysterious force. The bar manager, Will Wilkes, also claims he saw a white dress in the corner of his eye in the cellar. Meanwhile, barmaid Maddie Hobbs says she heard strange noises on several occasions. Well, when she and Will asked the spirit to make noises, it apparently obliged. To find out what was really going bump in the night, workers at the pub called in a paranormal investigation team from Haunted Southampton. The team included Peter Collins, who investigated the history of the pub, and Andy Ford, a medium. And then there was journalist Michael Carr. Equipped with temperature-reading devices, electromagnetic field detectors, and torches, aka flashlights, they headed into the darkness upstairs, the floorboards creaking beneath their feet. It's a quieter space as it is just used for storage. The rooms were noticeably colder as there was no heating. Most of the rooms were filled with heaps of clutter. Old paintings, mirrors, board games, and old furniture made them look like a hoarder's dream. Michael and Peter were fine, but the medium, Andy, obviously wasn't. Andy was clearly concerned and said, "My mouth has gone dry. It's like I can't settle." Soon he was picking up more and added that he was seeing the essence of a male and a female and was catching a glimpse of someone in the corner of his eye. When they encountered a room where the door was firmly shut, Peter noted, "This is the room, the one with all the activity." Unlike the other rooms, it wasn't littered with junk, it just had chairs and wooden floorboards. Then it happened. As Michael walked in, his stomach turned and legs turned jelly. He was overwhelmed with a feeling of nausea. He couldn't have spoken even if he wanted to. The nausea was that intense. Again, Andy started sensing something, and he mentioned the date 1693 and asked if it meant anything. Nobody answered. Silence fell, and they simply looked at each other with blank faces. The investigators then attempted to communicate with any possible inhabitants, a series of questions breaking the silence. And it all apparently led to the confirmation that a woman lost her child in this pub in 1693, a jarring result since the known history of the pub is not half that long. As for finding any significance to the date, there haven't been any conclusive answers. The staff hopes that maybe just having the date recognized may have brought some closure to the entities.
It could have been a building from
perhaps
prior.
we talk about up here in Churchill, Patrick Henry Pub up here, probably at least the third building that stood there, and some of the entities that linger there are
connected to the second building.
Yep. So I do need to note, should note rather, that the haunted Southampton crew disbarred probably about a little over a decade ago. I think it was when their lead investigator, if you will, Peter Collins, unfortunately he passed away.
Yeah.
So they have not been active in quite a while now, but they were responsible for doing a lot of investigations and a lot of historical research all across Southampton over the years.
Yeah.
So,
and I've only been able to find some of their research. I haven't found a lot of it because, again, I was prior to things being uploaded on the internet.
Things were only just starting to get digitized and uploaded to the internet, and so unless there's somebody sitting on their archives waiting to upload them, it might be one of those situations where some of their research just maybe lost to time, unfortunately.
I hope not. I hope they at least would, if somebody still has it, I hope they would donate it to the local historical society or library.
Yeah, it would be nice to see that happen.
Yeah,
but,
just so we don't lose that. But
yeah.
We're not the ones in charge.
No. They do have a Facebook page that's still out there. It hasn't been updated in over a decade. Their website is now defunct and offline.
Yeah.
But you could go to their Facebook page, Haunted Southampton, and see some of the stuff that they did share over the years up until they wound up, again, kind of disbanding after Peter's passing.
Yeah. And it might be that none of the group has access to it.
It could be that as well.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. So one last haunted pub before we move on. This one a little further afield, just across the river. Is it Itchen? Itchen. The station...
Icon.
Itchen. I probably should have looked up the pronunciation. Itchen. We'll go with that. Now, the station pub has been extensively remodeled over the years, so the layout is quite different to what it once was. This means that some of the reported ghosts show up in odd places. For example, one regular who would always sit right at the end of the bar is said to still sit in her usual spot. Only now, since the remodel, that spot is now located in the ladies' room. Sometimes when customers use the bathroom, they report being tapped on the shoulder, but when they turn around, there is nobody there. This is by no means the only paranormal activity that has been recorded at the station pub. The on-site CCTV cameras have captured the image of a ghostly man standing underneath a wall light close to the snooker table as though keeping watch over the bar during the night. One of the previous landladies has also said that she has heard a man whistling in the restroom after closing when no one else was in the building. She has also seen plates move off of the racks in the kitchen and smash on the floor. The cellar is also a hub of unexplained phenomena. It is divided into two parts. The smaller section is essentially the boiler room, and it is used to store seasonal items like Christmas decor. The door to this room is permanently wedged open. The reason is that when the door is closed, the contents of the room get thrown all over the place. Staff have resigned themselves to the fact that it is easier to just leave the door open instead of having to clean up the mess every morning.
It is itching.
Itching. Okay, cool. Yay. All right.
Yay.
And moving on from beverages, we will go to some place that you may have once upon a time wound up in if you had one too many beverages.
Yes, so this is the Bar Gate. It's the old gate to the city, which has some spirits of its own. It was once used as a police station, and many people have reported seeing policemen in Victorian dress in the area at night. The most tragic ghost, however, is that of Lizzie Loder, a 17th century smallholder. She regularly took the Itchen ferry to sell dairy products in the town market. One night, a group of footpads attacked her when she was on her way home. They robbed her of all of her takings and killed her. Back then, touching the body of a murder victim was believed to be a cure for illness. So poor Lizzie's rotting corpse was exhumed and sat in the high street. To this day, her ghost can be seen around Bargate dressed in tattered rags. I'm sorry, I don't think touching a corpse would cure anything.
No, quite the opposite, actually.
I would think you would get something from it.
Yeah, but, well...
That's just rude.
Rude. Medicine's gone a little ways over the years.
Yeah. I know. They used to think that not bathing protected you.
Yeah. I moved that story up in the script. Otherwise, we were going to end on that note. I did not want to end on that note.
No. That's a rather gross note to end on.
Yeah. So, moving on.
We're going to haunted houses.
Yes.
Now, museums, by the way.
Beautiful homes will look to the Tudor House and Gardens built between 1491 and 1518. It has a long and fascinating history, providing insight into the lives of people who lived in Southampton over the last 800 years. Prior to becoming a museum in 1912, Tudor House passed through many hands over the years, including Southampton sheriffs, mayors, MPs, and a Lord Chief Justice of England. There have been plots to kill kings, involvements in coronation processions, and more. During the 1400s and 1500s, the medieval town of Southampton experienced both social and economic change, heralding a new era of prosperity for those living within its walls. Southampton was one of only 8 ports in the 1400s which were granted export status, from which wine and wool were traded, which greatly increased the city's wealth. As trade steadily grew, so did the coffers of the crown and those associated with it, including the merchants who lived at Tudor House. In 1491, Sir John Daughtry, MP and sheriff, married the widowed Jane William, former wife of Watkin William and the owner of Tudor House, which was at that time comprised of 3 cottages. Daughtry joined these cottages to create the larger one that we can see today. It showed his wealth in an extravagant black and white timber facade. As the owners of Tudor House became more affluent, the property continued to evolve, reflecting its prosperity and influence within the wider community. In fact, the next owner, Sir Richard Leicester, was one of the richest men in Southampton when he attained the property in 1518. Richard and his wife Jane employed 8 servants who frequently held lavish gatherings in the banqueting hall and decorated the house with extravagant tapestries. As the 1500s ended, the deeds and ownership of Tudor House changed over the centuries, as did its evolution to accommodate the fashionable changes of each passing century. By the time the 1700s came about, Southampton had reached the peak of its fashionable and wealthy status. The city became a spa town, and Tudor House acquired a whole new extension to host its newest affluent family, the Rogers, in which George Rogers could paint while looking out upon Southampton's healing waters. However, this age of prosperity was under threat, and Tudor House would find itself weathering a whole new world soon enough. In the 1800s, Southampton was in the grip of the Industrial Revolution. It had become a passenger and commercial port city and welcomed thousands of people to work on the railways and docks. However, at the same time, the town was suffering from an economic depression. The ships and their associated offices were taking up the space traditionally housing more profitable ventures, such as warehousing and trade. This meant that most of the trade went straight from the docks to the railways and out of Southampton. This economic decline hit hard in some areas, and none more so than the area around Tudor House. While populations grew thanks to the new shipping and railways, some parts of the city were becoming overcrowded, and people were forced to find dwellings in slums, exactly like those that grew up around Tudor House. From the 1830s, Tudor House was split up into different dwellings and businesses. The Pope family, for example, had a dye works on the ground floor of the building, and the Pools were architects living and working on the first floor. These families rented portions of the house and largely stayed in business there until the 1880s. However, the relative success did not translate to the area around them, and by 1850 the area of St. Michael's was described as unfit for human habitation. It was densely populated with a communal water source, open sewers, and piles of rubbish in the streets. Disease was extensive. A cholera epidemic broke out in 1849, causing the deaths of 240 people in the area. The death of the poverty-stricken Ellen Wren, thank you, in 1894 caused a national outcry, and the clearing of the slums began. Tudor House itself was scheduled for demolition too, though it was saved at the last minute by a local philanthropist, William Spranger, who had acquired the much dilapidated building in 1886. In 1886, he had bought the freeholds of the once grand house and would embark on an ambitious renovation project to save the historic structure rather than see it torn to the ground.
Drink.
Yes, dear.
He preserved many of the original features: herringbone brickwork, paneled oak ceilings, Tudor beams, and timbering. But the ghosts of the banqueting hall whispered that he added fanciful and inauthentic features, creating doors that led nowhere, windows that cut through supporting beams, and a minstrel's gallery that was pure flight of romantic fantasy. In August of 1805, when the Southampton Corporation Town Museum asked Spranger to sell them the Tudor House for a town museum, he generously offered it for £4,200. Now fully restored, its frontage as we see it today, this of course sounds like a bargain. However, the council rejected it. It was not until the late 1910, after Spranger put a for sale sign outside the house, that the corporation capitulated. The tipping point came when a local newspaper, the Southampton Times, published a letter suggesting the extensive existence of a prospective American buyer who would dismantle both the building and ship them to the Americas. That's happened before here in Richmond.
Agecroft.
Yeah.
Where we just were that we talked about at the beginning of the episode.
So it's not beyond the realm of possibility that this was truth.
Yeah, I'm quite curious to I do a little research and see how often that happened and how many other places across the states.
I mean, we brought a bridge over.
Yeah, you have London Bridge is in Lake Havasu,
Arizona.
Yeah, Arizona, which not the London Bridge they thought
not
they were
the Tower Bridge, which is what they thought they were buying.
Although wasn't that the
that was just that was the that was the rumor for years. Anyway, so the council buys the Tudor House for the original £4,200. On Monday, July 29th of 1912, the mayor officially opened the Tudor House Museum as the Tudor House and Gardens, and is several centuries old. It's, of course, unsurprisingly haunted. The staff and visitors have reported a lot of spooky going-ons. The staff has heard strange noises from the attic, such as furniture dragging across the floor, footsteps, an old man coughing and laughing. But the attic was locked, and there was nobody in there. Others have seen a lady in gray walking down the stairs after the museum is closed for the day. The building is said to be so haunted that former custodians and owners have refused to enter certain parts of the building after dark. Visit Hampshire claims. They add ghosts include the dark specter that has been seen wandering the corridors, causing disturbances to the spirit of a young lady believed to be Anne Boleyn, who has been seen on the first floor. When the house belonged to Sir Richard Lister, the Lord Chief Justice of England, Henry VIII stayed there with Anne Boleyn, and it's said her face appears in one of the upstairs windows, and she's been seen wandering the corridors. I mean, she does get around.
Quite.
There have been several paranormal investigations at the Tudor House Museum. Haunted Southampton reported that their heat-seeking equipment picked up the image of a man sitting on a chair in an area where there was a thick wall with a sturdy cupboard in front of it. Other investigators have reported seeing figures walking across rooms and disappearing through bricked-up doorways. One of the volunteers' favorite stories is about Nora, the ghost girl. A few years ago, the Arts and Heritage team were having issues with the museum's alarm system, which kept going off in the early hours of the morning. On one occasion, the sensor even recorded movement in the reception and banqueting hall within a half second of each other, which is impossible. One night, Paranormal Investigation Society stayed overnight in the museum. They reported making contact with the spirit of a little girl who identified as Nora, and that she had been setting off the alarms. After this discovery, the archaeologists working at the Tudor House placed a ball on the mantelpiece in the banqueting hall. The ball disappeared, was never found, but the alarms continued to go off. The following night, he tried again. He placed a doll in the room instead. The doll disappeared overnight, just as the ball had, but this time the alarm stopped going off in the middle of the night. There was also a spirit on the canine variety. One employee at the Tudor House said she felt the spirit of a dog in the pour room. Barking has been heard around the house, including by one of the Tudor team of volunteers. Some wonder if it's related to the stuffed King Charles puppy in one of the display cabinets. Speaking of dogs, they've also apparently refused to enter the Georgian room, which is said to be the most haunted room in the house. In 2004, paranormal investigator Andrew House spent a night in the Tudor House contacting a spirit with dowsing rods in the Georgian room. He even claimed to have seen a dark figure standing at the other end of the room. Many of the volunteers and employees have reported hearing footsteps that don't appear to belong to anybody. During closing, one volunteer said she heard the upstairs floorboards creak as if somebody was walking across the room upstairs. Thinking they had missed a visitor, she checked the CCTV cameras and found no one up there. Another pair of volunteers also heard somebody walk along the corridor while they were in the cellar, which is closed off to the public except for tours. Thinking it was another volunteer, they asked around to find out who else might have gone down to the cellar. However, it soon transpired that no one else had gone down there that day. For the foreseeable future, it seems that the volunteers and the guests of the Tudor's house and gardens can expect to encounter spirits of centuries past. Question? Comment?
Oh, still a little chit-chat about the corpses for healing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I debated about putting that story in there, but I was like, it's
fascinating.
It's fascinating, but gross at the same time.
I don't know what that was.
Probably a phone. My phone. Possibly.
Yeah. So. But yes, Nora sounds like a fun ghost. Well,
give her toys. She'll be fine.
Yes. Oh, I was silly and I left my glasses downstairs. Yeah. My bad. Thank you for the concern, Patrick. It's not on you. It's me. I could have put my glasses on and I just didn't. I'm fine. I promise. But anyway, so next, another house. Next, looking to the Southwestern House. It is 2 words, not one. Southwestern House. It may not be the oldest building in Southampton, but it has seen more than its fair share of tragedy and death over the years, perhaps resulting in the numerous sightings of ghostly apparitions over the centuries. The building, designed by John Norton in a French Renaissance style, was opened in 1865.
So it's a fairly new one.
Yeah, fairly new. I say centuries, decades.
Decades.
Relatively. Anyways, Designed to be the most opulent hotel in the southeast of England, the Imperial, as it was originally named, was located on the corner of Terminus Terrace and Canute Drive, just a stone's throw from the bustling docks. The red brick hotel contained 100 suites and was an instant hit with Southampton society, quickly becoming a hive of social activity. In 1925, a stone-clad 8-story extension was added to the hotel to provide a further 100 bedrooms. Despite the hauntings, local people would often rely on the hotel whenever they wanted to check the accuracy of their watches, as in the early part of the last century, a time ball was fitted to a mast on the roof of the building. At exactly noon each day, the large 5-foot black ball would be dropped down the mast so that ships in the docks and the Soylent could verify their chronometers. The Royal Navy took over the building during World War II and stayed until 1946. After the war, the building changed to Southwest House and provided offices for British Railways, Cunard, and studios for the BBC. The hotel was converted into flats by Berkeley Homes and in 1999 was renamed Imperial House. Name it what you want, the building has plenty of spirits. The historic building, which has stood firm through a rapidly changing Southampton landscape, was acquired by the London and South Western Railway Company in 1871. Red uniformed porters would scramble to meet and greet guests from trains which arrived on the railway platforms just outside the hotel's main entrance. One night, one of the porters claimed he saw a woman in Victorian clothing standing at the end of a hallway. He said that she turned and looked at him and then disappeared into thin air. A Victorian lady, perhaps the same apparition, was also said to have been spotted in and around the hotel's ballroom, a room that seemed to be a focal hub for paranormal activity. In 1929, a shocking murder-suicide rocked the building. A couple named Mr. and Mrs. Dawson checked into the hotel. During the night, Mr. Dawson shot and killed his wife and then himself. The room was closed for a long time after, but some guests reported hearing strange noises and seeing apparitions in the hallway outside. The building also has ties to the ill-fated Titanic. Many guests stayed overnight at the hotel before embarking on the Titanic maiden voyage in 1912. These include Joseph Bryce Ismay, White Star Line's managing director, Thomas Andrews, the liner's designer, and the Countess of Ross. One of the ghostly sightings of the hotel since then, and perhaps one of the most grandiose, was when a guest claimed to have had visions of a ship sailing through the walls of the hotel. Mind you, while it is near the waterfront, it is not on the waterfront, set back a couple of blocks from the harbor. I'm just going to leave it at that. Not many will remember the building serving as a hotel. The outbreak of the Second World War put an end to that. The Royal Navy took over the premises and became the HMS Shrapnel, a military intelligence establishment until September 1946. The hotel is believed to have been one of the places Winston Churchill and Dwight D. Eisenhower met up to discuss plans for the D-Day invasion. Fitting that before this, the ghost of a man in military uniform had been said to have been seen roaming around the lobby. There were also said to have been sightings of doors opening and closing on their own, lights flickering, furniture moving around, and inexplicable voices whispering. Some other guests report hearing strange noises such as footsteps, voices, and music coming from the empty rooms, as well as cold spots or being touched by unseen hands. The hotel's management did not officially acknowledge the ghost sightings, but some staff members reported having their own experiences. In a post on the Southampton Reddit page, one user who claims to have lived in the building since 2012 claimed a lot of weird stuff happens there.
I love that. Weird stuff. Such a great descriptor.
Yeah. Now, asked by another user to share some examples, they said, the Edwardian. She's quite a frequent flyer. She likes to appear at random, sometimes inside the flats. A bit dopey, really, just sort of stares at you and then vanishes. Heavy objects often move about, quite a bit. People put things down in one place only to find it has been relocated, knowing there wasn't anyone else around at the time. Sudden drops in temperature, down to single figures from the high 20s, for no discernible reason. Mind you, we're talking about centigrade, so 20s centigrade down to single digit centigrade is quite the drop.
Yes.
Clear, loud voices with no one in the room, sometimes using odd words you don't understand. Heavy doors flung wide open. There's no way it was caused by the airflow. These are all things people living here for any decent amount of time are used to. Then there's the odd spectacular. Those are rare, but not unheard of. I've given up trying to explain some of the things in rational terms. I'm blasé about stuff that freaks some guests out now. So.
Okay, I want to move in just so I know what the spectacular is.
I'm quite curious. The spectacular. That is an interesting description for paranormal activity. Anyways.
Interesting and vague.
Interesting and vague. Intriguing.
Intriguing. Yes.
I want to know more. Oh, Winston Churchill is Patrick's distant ancestor.
Oh.
Super cool dude, very weird like me. Churchill.
Yes, he was.
He was, yes.
Yes, he was.
And Patrick does go on to say lots of weird stuff happens there. Loves that. Like when people describe me as being a really weird dude, kind of like a challenge.
How weird do you want it to get?
Yep.
Give me a number, 1 to 10.
Yeah, and I know that the odd spectacular dude just teasing us. Absolutely. I wish there was more elaboration on that. But still, lots of activity, voices, footsteps, doors opening and closing, flickering lights, the whole 9 yards. The place has it all.
I wonder if they have any openings.
I don't know. Find out when we're there.
Go start up Haunted Southampton again.
I mean, they do have a ghost tour there. Unfortunately, they only run like every 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
It's weird.
So they're different style than us. They actually have interpreters
yes.
performing as the ghosts at the location. So you have a guy, and then you have the interpretive ghost. And it's a big to-do that they put on.
It's a production.
It is a huge production.
Which is cool.
I would like to see it.
It unfortunately means it doesn't run very often, and it will not be running while we're there.
We looked.
Yeah.
None of theirs. And they actually operate 3 different places.
Yeah, 3 different
towns.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Sigh. Last stop for the evening.
Yes. We're going to move to our last house, which is the Medieval Merchant's House on French Street. And this is one of the earliest surviving houses in England. The Medieval Merchant's House dates from the end of the 13th century. That is still standing is something of a miracle given the damage it sustained during the sack of Southampton at the hands of the French and the Genoese in 1338. It also made it through the Blitz in 1940, which many of its neighbors did not. Well, the wine merchant John 14 built the house for his family. Over time, it has been divided into flats, made into a house again, and it was Mrs. Collins' lodging house for theatricals. Yeah, I really need to just move into this house. It was a pub in the 19th century, the Bull's Head Inn, during which time it was known for the mischievous spirit that kept blowing out the candles in the cellar. Ian Fox relates the story of Sarah Jane Allen, married to the owner's son, who often woke in the morning to find a woman standing at the end of the bed wearing a dirty dress. She would vanish when Sarah Jane tried to alert her sleeping husband to the woman's presence. Perhaps this was Ruth Dill, who worked there in the 1890s when it was a lodging house. As a sideline, she would entertain the sailors staying there for a little extra money. She also had a fondness for jewelry, and it was known to rob her unsuspecting clients when they were asleep. One night she was caught in the act, and in the ensuing struggle she hit a man with a flat iron. He died, and she fled, throwing her ill-gotten gains into the well to hide her crime. She was never caught, but her ghost has been seen walking the corridors and staring into the well or disappearing through the bricked-up doorways. During the Second World War, it was a brothel, and there is a story of the killing of a sailor at the house by the resident lady the night after a dispute over her fees. There have been numerous reports of strange footsteps on the wooden staircase, and a theatrical group that used the house as their base reported a woman's shape in the bedroom, which was drifting through a bricked-up doorway. Visitors often are pushed in the back by unseen hands, and the heavy front door slams shut without warning. Now managed by the English Heritage, a tour of the Merchant House should be on your short list for a visit to Southampton. Just be cautious of the resident spirits. That being said, it's going to be closed the day we're there.
The full day we're there. So, unless we can get in.
Unless we get in early.
But then we would have to, well, we'll see.
We'll see what happens.
One thing at a time.
Yep.
One thing at a time.
It will all depend on the traffic.
Ooh, buddy. Please don't spill the rest of my cider. There's not much left, but I prefer not to have to clean it up.
Yes. All depends on the traffic and how long we stay at Stonehenge.
Yep. One thing at a time. Let's get there.
Yes.
So, hi, buddy. You got to settle in now?
Of course I am.
Of course you are. Because since
Show's over.
Yep. So, thank you very much for tuning in and listening tonight. Appreciate you all coming in, listening to our stories, and as we go ahead and enjoy a beverage. We will be back in 2 weeks. We have Haunted Maine. So
we're coming back stateside.
Coming back stateside. We haven't done a state in a while, so Maine will be the first state that we've done in a while. And this isn't our first trip to Maine. We actually had a specific episode for the Ghosts of Mount Desert Island, which is the island that has Acadia National Park and Bar Harbor. So we did a very localized episode for that. That was a few years ago now.
Yep, and I think we've talked about a few hotels.
Oh, I'm sure that we've had a couple other one-off Maine locations along the way as well. But this episode, the entire episode will be dedicated to the state of Maine. And then after that, we're going to be off for about a month. So if you want to catch us...
We are traveling, so sorry, we won't have good connection to actually do a Facebook Live.
Yep. And Rick's here. So
hi, Rick.
Glad you could catch the end of the episode here, Rick. And it will be back on replay here shortly after we go ahead and sign off for the night.
And move it over to YouTube.
So, yeah, it'll be on Facebook for about a month. Then Facebook, in all of their wisdom, has decided to delete live videos after about a month. So it will then in turn be on our YouTube page. So,
yes.
But yeah.
And feel free to come out on tours. Again, we're going every day of the week.
Yep.
So you can always catch us on a tour.
Had our amazing guide Tiffany out giving a tour while we were doing this tonight. She should just be finishing up her tour actually right about now.
Yep.
She was giving the creepy tales on campus tonight. And tomorrow night we have Jenny will be doing our Churchill Chillers at 9 p.m.
Yes.
And then
What's on Wednesday?
We have one on Wednesday too.
I don't remember.
Yeah. I think Thursday's the only night this week that has not been claimed for a tour yet. So yeah, but always got stuff going on. And also want to mention we do have we do history tours as well, Saturdays and Sundays.
Yep. And Shadows will be Wednesday.
Shadows of Shako on Wednesday at 7 p.m. And who's
Valerie.
Valerie is going to be the guide for that. So our Raven, Valerie.
Yes.
Who also does other storytelling for her and her husband do the Spooky Hollow Storytellers. So
they are fabulous.
They are quite fabulous. They were one of the headliners, if you will, at Warriors in Bloom on Saturday. That was an absolute treat to be able to catch that. Mm-hmm. So yeah. And they're also very active, particularly on Instagram.
Yes.
So if you look up Spooky Hollow Storytellers on Instagram, you can find them there. Mm-hmm. But with that, we're gonna thank you, Beverly. Safe travels. Yes. Appreciate that. But we will again see you in just a couple of weeks before we do hit the road. Mm-hmm. And again, thank you all very much for watching tonight. And cheers. Stay spooky, y'all.
Bye, y'all.